parents and students would use it and use this type of information. What I said teachers would definitely do something about it. Maybe parents, maybe students. Okay, that would be up almost to your opinion for what you would think. I put a question mark here. Okay, putting an X here is fine as well. And then you can see the other examples as well. Okay, and you can see I just changed some of the words. I'm not sure. You can let me know, but here in the United States, we have school boards for each school district to help us and whatnot, and different levels of administration. So I tried to tailor our list um, below better for your needs. So let's go back here. So that, again, you can look at this to help you. You don't need to, but it will help you for who uses this information. Okay. Now, what you really want to get to here, if you look at number A, is what's the purpose of assessment? Okay, and if you need a little help in your text with this, you can look at around page 16, 17, but I'll give you a little hint, there are 4 primary purposes of assessment. Okay, what we use assessment for. So if you look around page 16, 17 in chapter 1, that will help you with some of the purposes of assessment. I don't want to give the answer away right now. I want you to find that yourself. Okay, and if we move down to question 5, okay, and I think it's important to think that assessment, classroom assessment, is just not measuring what students know. It is knowing what they know and what they've learned, but it also helps us as teachers, as educators, to change our instruction as well. If students are not doing well, if many students do poorly on a test, that might tell us as teachers that we need to reteach something that they didn't understand. And that can connect with the topic of formative assessment in our text. And I believe if I find our page, there's a really good section in chapter 1 talking about formative and summative assessment. It's called assessment for learning, formative assessment. Okay, so that there's a good section in chapter 1 on that topic as well. Okay, now what you're going to do next is you're going to think a little deeper about assessment, and I'm here on question 6. Okay, it says now you're going to sort your assessment categories methods again. This time you're going to sort them according to whether you use them before you start teaching, during, or after instruction. Okay, and there are going to be some instances where the example will fit under more than one category. Okay, so you can see here I have observation, and I have it under during instruction. That would probably be the most likely time that I would use observation. Okay, now after that, I'll give you another example. If we go back to the broad categories, remember our broad categories were here on the top. I'm going to look at teacher-made tests, something that you would make as a teacher, and where I would think that it could go. You could do a teacher-made test before instruction, and that's actually called a pretest. I'm going to put a pretest. You could do that to see what they knew prior to teaching, and I would put teacher-made test after. Okay, after instruction. That's where it would go. Okay, so that's just two examples to help you with that point as well. And then after you get all those sorted out, and remember, you can look at that help that I have here on Moodle, the standardized test, the teacher-made test, observation, oral questioning, homework, and whatnot. You're going to label some more. You can see here, okay, what do you think is going to be motivating for students? Okay, what gives you some good, what assessment methods would allow you to give good feedback to students? Okay, where would you get some new information? And what would give you some direct information about the student? You would label it with the D. And you can see I have here for observation that it would give me some new information for a student. If I was observing for maybe knowing the alphabet, I would get some new information watching that. Okay, and it would be pretty direct. I'd get there watching the student. I'd get direct information for that. If we look at teacher-made tests before instruction, I would say it would give us some feedback to students to know what they know about the topic. Okay, it would give us some new information about a topic, and it would give us some direct information as well in terms of the students. Is it motivating? That's up to debate. I've seen a pretest be somewhat motivating for students. They really want to do well, but that I would say maybe for motivating. Okay, and then if we look for teacher-made tests after instruction, okay, that may be motivating. I'm going to put motivating there again because some students may detour or hate tests, but it may be some motivating for some. It would give feedback again, and we may still get some new information, and it would be direct. Okay, so you want to work through each example and reflect on those 4 words. Okay. And before we wrap up in the conclusion, okay, we just want to draw some conclusions about each primary purpose of each category. Remember, we can think too, the primary purpose is that we think we do things before our teaching, during, and after, okay? And there is a close relationship between timing, and remember timing is before, during, and after, and what the purpose of your assessment is. And when we think about purpose, this is the answer I didn't give to you. The purposes, the 4 purposes should go there, and I'll give you one purpose. One purpose of assessment is to get a grade. It's grading. So if we think of grading here, okay, that you think, when do we typically grade? And how is that related to timing? Typically, grading, if you think of timing, would be possibly after instruction. Okay, so you can see that there is a link between the timing and the purpose. Okay, but there are some times where there's been some confusions. For instance, I don't know if this has happened, if a teacher gives a pretest, and a pretest would primarily be for before instruction, okay? And there might be some confusion that a teacher gives a pretest, but they give a grade. When the real intent of a pretest, the purpose is to help with instruction. It's not to get a grade. So you want to be careful of not confusing those two. Okay? And the last thing is just to draw some conclusions. Okay, and this will help you a bit writing your blog for week 2. And you just want to talk a little bit about some of the factors that some positive and negative assessment experiences. Personally, positive for me is when I've gotten really good feedback, constructive feedback on assessments, or when I've had a choice of what type of way I wanted to show my knowledge. Personally, for a negative assessment experience, is getting feedback with no ways for improvement, negative feedback and whatnot. Okay? And then finally, you have these 3 last questions. Okay? And you want to think about do certain categories of assessment have positive and negative? So negative, I'll put one here, might be those standardized tests. I have a negative association with that. Positive, projects. I really liked projects. So this will be personal, of course, everybody's list. And then you can reflect what would be more motivating for students, what type maybe projects would be. Okay, maybe a report. This is up to your opinion. Okay, and the final part here, it says, which assessment methods are appropriate for the instructional decisions made based on the for the assessment, and for which assessments is there a disconnect. So appropriate, we would think a pretest that would be appropriate for making instructional decisions. If I think of maybe the standardized test, there might be that disconnect for instructional decisions. For instance, at least here when we have standardized tests, we take them at the end of a school year, and we don't get the results until 4 or 5 months later when the school year's over, and we can't make any instructional decisions based on that. Okay, so I hope this brief tutorial helped you a little bit with the chapter 1 assignment. So please let me know if you have any further questions. Thank you for listening.